I think it's time to get rid of outdated cliches. It's time to get rid of prejudices. As far as I understand, for the Philippines, there is an objective need to diversify the range of the circle of your foreign partners. We are talking about diversification. It's not a choice between these partners and those ones. Diversification means preserving, keeping traditional old partners and getting the new ones. So Russia is ready to become a new reliable partner and close friend of the Philippines. That's our fundamental position. So I'm not able to understand any dissatisfaction or other negative feelings of your traditional partners, and don't accept them. That's a sovereign right of the Philippines to receive naval ships from different countries. So there is the period of political or military monopoly is over. That's an objective need of the international life, and it should be properly understood by everyone, including your traditional partners. Thank you.
Sir, I'm sorry, just to clarify, sir, you so as to create confusion, you said earlier that principally or fundamentally it is Russia's principle or policy to be against any closed military alliance. Yet you are seeking to have a solid legal basis for a military alliance with the Philippines, sir. Isn't there any contradicting?
No, it's a kind of misunderstanding. We don't seek a military alliance with the Philippines. That's not our aim. And as far as I understand, our Filipino partners, they don't need a military alliance with Russia either. What we are seeking is cooperation in those fields where our two countries need each other. And I have already mentioned some fields. First of all, joint struggle against common threats to security and sustainable development. That's why we are open to use any form, any kind of our bilateral cooperation. We are open, we are ready to share our military experience. We are ready to cooperate in the area of staff training, to coordinate our efforts on a multilateral international fora. And of course, there is no secret in this respect. We are ready to supply the Philippines with sophisticated arms and weapons. Russia has a lot to offer. But everything will be done in full compliance with the international law. We don't play any game against any other third country. That's why I have already emphasized an objective need for diversification. But at the same time, of course, we believe that, and we recommend all other third countries to refrain from interfering into the bilateral relations between the Philippines and Russia. Thank you.
Sir Emilio Fernandez from PTV4. Just to follow up, because you said earlier that Russia has two preconditions in formalizing a defense cooperation agreement with other countries like the Philippines. One is we need to have solid legal basis, and the other one is mutual trust. What would be, if we will come up with a defense cooperation agreement, what is the scope and limitation of that agreement?
I have just mentioned two indispensable preconditions for a successful military cooperation, namely solid legal basis and mutual trust, as the two usual preconditions. These are indispensable preconditions for the military cooperation with any country. That's an objective need. It's not something special related only to Russia, not at all. I think that it's too early to talk about the scope of our military cooperation agreement. It's a subject of bilateral talks, of bilateral negotiations. But I'm assuring you, we are not talking about any military alliance. It's not in the interest of Russia and the Philippines. And I'm saying again, everything will be done in full compliance with the international law and with the due respect to international realities. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Ambassador. I'm Paterno S. Makel from Rappler. Mr. Ambassador, you said something a while ago about the need to get rid of outdated leashes and the need to get rid of prejudices. Can you tell us more about it? What do you mean in the context of our traditional alliance with the United States?
To be frank, it's not my business as Russian ambassador to talk about the relations between the Philippines and the United States. That's your sovereign right. To talk about your relations with the United States. I am talking about the relations between Russia and the Philippines. And I'm saying again, we will not tolerate any attempt of any third country to interfere into the relations of our two sovereign states, the Philippines and Russia. We don't interfere into your relations with your traditional partners, and your traditional partners should respect the interests of the Philippines and Russia.
What do you mean, Mr. Ambassador, when you said outdated leashes and prejudice?
But I think it's very clear. Your traditional partners shouldn't be concerned about the military ties between Russia and the Philippines. If they are concerned, it means that they need to get rid of outdated cliches. That's all.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador. David Santos from CNN Philippines. You emphasized the second point, mutual trust in establishing that cooperation. With due respect, Mr. Ambassador, the government of our traditional partner had complained or has complained about spying in the recent elections. They have accused your government of being involved into cyber attacks and other forms of surveillance. As you emphasize mutual trust, what assurance can you give to the Philippines as we develop this cooperation that we will not go to that direction eventually, as what had happened, as what the American government is accusing you?
Thank you very much. It's a quite challenging question for me. First of all, about the so-called Russian interference into the recent presidential elections in the United States. I don't see a subject to discuss in this respect. What do you propose we should discuss? Rumors? Gossips? Because as far as I know, no evidence, no convincing evidence has been produced so far. No evidence confirming the so-called interference of Russian spies or Russian hackers into the US elections. So all these accusations, diplomatically speaking, are ridiculous. I'm sorry for my undiplomatic language. It's stupid to talk about that. So I don't see any need to discuss rumors and gossips. So, and it looks quite strange. The most powerful country complaints about interference from a weak Russia. So it means that the United States looks like a banana republic, which is not able to defend your election system from interference from abroad. It's a kind of humiliation of the United States. So there is nothing to discuss in this respect.
But the assurance, Mr. Ambassador, that as we build this...
Yes, I understand the second part of your question, and I'm ready to answer it. Look at some neighboring countries. For example, Vietnam. I know very well this subject because I'm a specialist on Vietnam. I spent totally 10 years in Vietnam. So traditionally, Vietnam and the former Soviet Union and now Russia, they have been maintaining close military ties for many decades. And how do I think? I don't know any case of Soviet or Russian interference into domestic political affairs of Vietnam. Did Vietnam lose its sovereignty because of close military cooperation with Vietnam? Not at all. It's obvious for everyone. So that's a very positive aspect of military cooperation with Russia, because we never use military cooperation as a kind of political leverage on our partners. The military cooperation with Russia has no political conditionality. That's the best possible assurance. And in the history of military ties of Russia with all our partners around the world, there has never been, I'm saying again, never been any kind of interference, any kind of link, military cooperation and political pressure. That's not possible at all. That's the best possible assurance on our part, I think. So please, don't worry in this respect.
The next question, ladies.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Lucia Guzman from Business World. Last month, our Foreign Affairs Department issued a statement that 3 companies are interested in visiting the Philippines this month: Rosatom, Russian Railways, and Norilsk Mining. Are there any other companies who have expressed interest in investing in the Philippines? And in turn, what are you looking forward to in trade with our country?
Thank you very much. I believe that we have a great potential in the field of trade and investment cooperation. But unfortunately, our companies, our business people don't know well the capabilities of the Philippine market and vice versa. Philippine business people, of course, should take a lot of efforts in order to explore a very promising, a huge Russian market. We can and should closely cooperate in different fields, including transport, telecommunication, energy field, including the use of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, outer space, and so on and so forth. Our country has a lot to offer, including sophisticated technologies in different fields, highly skilled workers and engineers, highly professional scientists, and so on. So what's needed now is to intensify people-to-people contacts between our 2 countries in different fields. What does it mean, people-to-people contacts? It means politicians to politicians, diplomats to diplomats, journalists to journalists, business people to business people, students to students, teachers to teachers. So there are no limits. We are open to closely cooperate with our Philippine partners in any field. And we at the Russian Embassy here will do our best in order to contribute to the intensification of our bilateral contacts in different fields and at different levels, including, of course, first of all, trade and investment field. So I believe that very soon much more Russian companies to come to the Philippines to explore opportunities for dealing new projects, new strikes, for striking new deals, and for promoting mutually beneficial cooperation. Thank you.
Next question.
Mr. Ambassador, I'm just going to go back to his question. Just going to follow up on that.
Yes, please.
You said you don't want any traditional partner of the Philippines to be interfering in the relations between the Philippines and Russia. But do you fear that there will be interference? Are you concerned at all that there will be interference?
We don't rule out that. Are you satisfied with my answer? Simply because I was asked about concerns of some traditional partners of the Philippines. So I didn't initiate a discussion about concerns of your traditional partners. It was a question addressed to me, so I had to answer.
Mr. Ambassador, you do know that there's very heated, there was or there is, it depends who you ask, tension between the Philippines and China regarding maritime rights in the South China Sea. We do know that China is claiming sovereign right over their 9-dash line, and the Philippines just won in the arbitration case precisely on this matter. We'd like to know what the position of Russia is in terms of this whole maritime issue in the South China Sea.
First of all, I am happy to note that Russia is not a party to these disputes. And we have neither intention nor desire to become one. We don't take sides in these disputes. But at the same time, as a responsible permanent member of the UN Security Council, the Russian Federation has been speaking many years in favor of exclusively peaceful solution of these disputes. No use of force or threat to use force is acceptable. There is only one way to solve these disputes and any other disputes, any other international problems. To sit down together, to talk. Nothing better has been invented so far. Only talks, only negotiations. There is no reasonable alternative to that. And of course, the solution of these disputes should be mutually acceptable, and it should be based on the international law, including the UN Sea Law Convention of 1982. That's our consistent, fundamental position. We sincerely wish the Philippines, China, and all other partners involved into these regrettable disputes to find a mutually acceptable solution as soon as possible. Thank you.
Next question.
Just to follow up my question in relation to your response, Mr. Ambassador, how do you view the creation of man-made islands by China and the reported militarization of these islands? Do you view it as contrary to the peaceful solution that you are calling for, or does that still fall under acceptable means?
We view all these developments as a matter for bilateral or multilateral talks with the parties concerned. I'm saying again, there is no reasonable alternative to that. Everything should be discussed by the parties concerned.
Sir, last year, Russia and China held military exercises in the South China Sea. Yesterday, Rear Admiral Mikhailov talked about joint military exercises in the South China Sea involving Russia, China, the Philippines, and Malaysia. I think he mentioned that as well. So my question is, will you be inviting the Philippines to join in the same military exercises that you held with China last year?
Regarding the Russian-Chinese military exercises, So these exercises are organized on a regular basis. In previous years, they took place in East China Sea. So last year, for the first time, these exercises were organized in the South China Sea. But in the area which has nothing to do with the disputed islands in the southern part of the South China Sea. So I'm saying again, all these joint drills has nothing to do with territorial disputes. And all these drills focus usually on search and rescue operations, struggle against piracy, terrorism, and so on. So it has no political nature, not at all. As far as the participation of other regional countries in joint military drills, we are open. Simply because, as I have already said, we have common problems. These problems can be solved only by joint efforts. So we need to combine our efforts, to combine our capabilities, our potential. And in this respect, we need to organize joint military drills. We are open for that, for any interested country. No exception in this respect.
Any question? One more?
Nikki, please. I'm waiting for your question with impatience. I'm very happy to see you.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us. You mentioned earlier that you were willing to cooperate with the Philippines in terms of transferring technology in weapons and firearms making. Is there any progress regarding that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course. Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much for your for your recommendation. Yes, of course. We are ready. So the possible military cooperation between our two countries also include transfer of Russian technologies. And now it's under consideration. It's under discussion between our two countries. But as I have already said, it needs a solid legal basis. It's a very serious matter. But I'm assuring you that our country is open to use any form, any kind of military cooperation, except the creation of military alliance. Thank you.
Minardo Macaraig, Jones France Press. Sir, could you elaborate on just what kind of military weaponry or equipment that you're proposing to sell or share with the Philippines? What is the Philippines asking for?
We're ready to discuss a supply of any arms and weapons. So what we need is a wish list from our Philippine partners. That's all.
Is there such a wish list?
For example, we are ready to supply small arms and light weapons. So airplanes, helicopters, submarines, and many other weapons, sophisticated weapons. Modern weapons, not the second-hand ones. I hope you to appreciate it properly. So we want to be a reliable partner of the Philippines because we highly appreciate mutual trust. So it depends on the wishes of our Filipino partners. And as far as I understand, anyway, the final say will belong to the Philippines. Thank you.
Is there such a wish list? Has there been any wish list or any Philippine delegation that's gone there? Any exploration? Any official who's actually looked at what you're offering and asked and given proposals of what they want to get?
We are now exploring relevant opportunities in this field. But I think it's too early to talk about that in specific, concrete terms. It's too early. As soon as we get a conclusion, as soon as we get practical results, I'll be happy to inform you of that. Thank you.
Mr. Ambassador, just one quick follow-up on the proposed defense cooperation, military cooperation. Is there a target period on when we can have this? Will it be signed during the visit of President Duterte in April, during the spring, or in 2 years' time, or before his term ends?
We are interested in signing this agreement as soon as practicable. As far as I understand, the Philippine side has a similar interest. So, we hope to sign this agreement, I'm saying again, as soon as practicable. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sirs. Oliver Cruz for Rapply, RT News. Regarding possible future bilateral military drills, would you be so kind to give us a picture of how it will look like in terms of weaponry, things like that?
В рамках визита отряда кораблей Тихоокеанского флота, как я говорил на брифинге, на церемонии встречи, спланировано и уже согласовано проведение совместных мероприятий, связанных они с маневрированием и учением по связи. Эти мероприятия будут проводиться здесь, в территориальных водах Республики Филиппины, 7 числа, после того, как мы начнем движение и покинем порт Манила. Спасибо.
As I have already mentioned during the briefing, these maneuvers will take place on January 7th, when we start our route from the port of Manila, and there will be exercises on communication and maneuvering in the territorial waters of the Philippines.
So, you see, this is a specific example of our joint drills. Thank you.
Any questions? More?
We learned, sir, that the public will be, the vessel will be open to public for viewing. Is it true?
В соответствии с программой визита, согласованной в том числе с органами местного управления, командованием военно-морскими силами, данное мероприятие будет спланировано и проведено завтра с утра и будет проводиться до обеда. Поэтому до 16 часов, поэтому мы будем рады видеть здесь гостей вашего прекрасного города и жителей Республики Филиппины.
has coordinated with the naval authorities and the appropriate Philippine authorities. The guided tour will take place tomorrow until 4 p.m. Starting 11 a.m. until 4 p.m.
So everyone is welcome.
So, any more questions?
Hello. Does the public need to seek accreditation for them to enter the ship?
Нет, аккредитация не нужна. Единственное, будут соблюдены меры безопасности, связанные с ограничением проноса на корабль вещей. Сумок, будет организован досмотр. Спасибо.
There is no accreditation required. There will be only initial security measures taken with regard to the personal items, bags, etc.
Please, no big bags, no suitcases.
You mentioned about working together to fight common threats like terrorism. Terrorism is very much a big problem in the south in our country. Sir, does your government has a full understanding of the kind of terrorism that we're facing vis-a-vis with the kind of terrorism that your country is also facing, and how can we work together in addressing this particular threat?
So I'm assuring you that the Russian government adequately understands the threats and challenges to the security of your country in the south of the Philippines. Simply because Russia also suffered a lot from terrorism. So we know very well what this threat means, not theoretically, but in practical terms. And we have a lot of experience in this field. Both experience, both negative and positive. And as you know, in many cases, the negative experience can be even more useful than the positive one. And we are ready to share our experience with the Philippines. We are ready to provide the Philippines with our assistance as far as staff training is concerned, for example. We are ready to supply special equipment for this field, to exchange delegations, to hold regular consultations. So we are open for any form of cooperation.
Exchange of intelligence or information?
Yes, it's possible too, definitely. Including exchange of relevant data, relevant information. Moreover, we propose that this kind of cooperation should develop as much as possible. I'm saying again, we are open for that. And of course, we sincerely wish your country, your government and your people to eradicate terrorism as soon as possible. And to reestablish peace and stability in the south.
Because our country is very well known in terms of intelligence gathering, will we see your intelligence community actively helping the Philippines in filling up whatever gaps that we have in terms of addressing terrorism in other countries?
Oh, I hope you to understand me correctly. It's a very special field. It also requires mutual trust. So let's develop our cooperation step by step. First of all, we need to intensify relevant bilateral contacts. And I believe we'll do it very soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 5 more minutes, so 2 last questions. So, who would like?
Ladies have much more minutes, please.
Could you give clarification as to what kind of exercise will take place on the 7th? What kind of drill would that be?
Эти вопросы больше специфичные, они характер имеют морской выучки и профессионализма, касается внутренней службы морской, поэтому мало будет наверняка интересно для вас. Я уже сказал, что они будут охватывать вопросы совместного маневра, совместное маневрирование, будут вопросы отработаны в полном объеме, а также использование средств связи, которые мы имеем на кораблях, соответствующих на кораблях военно-морских сил Филиппин и на нашем корабле.
That will be a specific naval exercise involving, as I have already said, joint maneuvering and exercises in the area of communication between the Philippine Navy and the naval ships of Russia.
So it's really important simply because, as far as I understand, simply because your Navy and the Russian Navy, so they use different equipment based on different technical standards. So it's very important to establish communication lines between our navies, because without these communication lines, it will not be possible to cooperate, to solve any common problem. That's all. Thank you.
Questions?
And let me finally to share with you some final ideas. So today I have read all local newspapers, and I was very surprised, because I found only a few publications of two information agencies, the Associated Press and Reuters. No local publications, no local journalist wrote anything about this port call by a detachment of Russian vessels. I was really surprised. Frankly and friendly speaking, I don't understand why the foreign information agencies write much more, cover this friendly visit, but local mass media keep silent. In my humble view, it looks a bit strange. Moreover, unfortunately, this coverage, in my view, the coverage by the Associated Press, is not really objective. It's not really unbiased. For example, the Associated Press announced, they quoted as our Honorable Rear Admiral saying that so they announced that our Honorable Rear Admiral allegedly said, you Filipinos, you can choose to cooperate with the United States of America or to cooperate with Russia. But it's not true at all. It's not true. So, at least diplomatically speaking, this phrase was taken out of context. In my humble view, so it's an example of dishonest journalism. So I am kindly asking you, our Filipino partners and friends, please don't mislead the public. Please refrain from any misinterpretation. This visit by a detachment of Russian vessels has only one message of partnership and friendship, and nothing else. We have nothing to hide from you. We don't have any intention, any hidden intention. We have no hidden agenda. That's my personal ambassadorial friendly message to all of you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Hi, sir. Robina Sido from Daily Manila Shimbun from Japanese newspaper. Just want to ask, can we expect, or are we going to expect the visit of more Russian Navy after this one? Will there be any other visit?
Now I can only say that we hope these visits to be regular. And I can only repeat my strong belief. In my humble opinion, such visits will contribute to the improvement not only our bilateral ties, but also to the strengthening of regional security and peace. That's my strong personal conviction. And of course, such visits have nothing to do with the interests of any other third country. Thank you.
Okay.
Any more questions, please? We are at your disposal. Oh, Nikki, yes, please. Of course.
I'm just curious, did you invite President Duterte to visit the ship? And if yes or no, what did he say?
The visit of His Excellency President Duterte will be a big honor for the crew of our vessel, for all of us. We expect President Duterte to visit this ship. Very soon. Okay? Because it depends on the business schedule of Mr. President.
He does visit, you consider it like a big statement in terms of how the U.S. will perceive it?
Nikki, please, I don't see any connection between any reaction of traditional partner and this visit. So, I have a strong belief that our bilateral relations between the Philippines and Russia, they have their own big value. Please, don't put our bilateral relations into the context of your relations with your traditional partners. It's not correct. Objectively, we need each other. And we need your traditional partners. And that's why, as I have already said, we don't play games against anyone here. We play games for the mutual interest of the Philippines and Russia. That's all. Without any damage to your relations with your traditional partners. I'm kindly asking you to trust me. Thank you. Any more questions?
Okay, maybe last question. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Please, I'm kindly asking all of you, please, be unbiased, be objective. No misinterpretation. Don't mislead the public.
There was a translator. We based the quote from the translator yesterday.
All major publications have the story.
Yes, we transcribed it, sir.
Yes, so as I have already said, so today I have read all the local newspapers.
Yes, sir. They carry the story.
So only the agencies Reuters and Associated Press, yes, published their articles. That's all. Yes, right. Yes, really, I'm not joking, unfortunately. I'm serious. Yeah. The Russian ambassador is always serious.
And as to that quote that you mentioned, it needs to be that I have to speak up. I was here yesterday and the interpreter did raise such. I also transcribed the perhaps we could clarify that with the interpreter, because that was also
So I am assuring all of you, it's not a matter of choice. There is no need to choose this partner or that one. As far as I understand, the Philippines need both traditional partners and new ones. That's all. Anyway, I'm sure this phrase was lifted out of context. And it doesn't reflect the official position of the Russian government. It doesn't reflect the Russian policy.
Rear Admiral said, at least my understanding of what the interpreter said, was that the Philippines was free to choose how to cooperate with whoever partner.
Yes, definitely. It's true. Because this is a sovereign right of your country to choose your partners. But it's not a matter of choice between your traditional partners and the new ones, as the Associated Press announced. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's all. It's not a matter of choice. But the final decision, the final say, that will belong to your country. Yes, definitely. So I hope you understand me correctly. Please, don't mislead the public. I'm saying once again. I'm kindly asking you.
But sir, maybe we can assure also to you that it is not our intention to mislead the public. Our job is to report what we see, what we hear. We have no also agenda.
Yes, I understand. Of course, I'm not in a position to give you recommendations. Of course, you as representatives of independent mass media, but we have also a right to assess your publications, to agree or disagree with you, and that's why I'm sharing with you our assessment. And I hope, in my humble assessment, so responsible journalists, they should adequately understand what's behind this or that phrase. Because the context is also important. Not only the words, but the context. And it should be adequately understood. That's my friendly message. That's my friendly request.
Be honest about it, Mr. Ambassador. Yesterday we were struggling to understand. We were really trying to clarify at certain points with Mr. Maxim on some of the topics that were raised yesterday. Because, well, let's admit it, there's also the language barrier, so that is a factor. And then, of course, you're right, in terms of context, that's important. But I would just like to assure to you that that there's no intention to mislead or be biased or to
That's beyond doubt. I fully trust you. Believe me, please. Believe me, please. And that's why it's a big pleasure for me to communicate with all of you. And I would like to tell all of you that if I personally, if the Russian embassy as a whole, if we can be useful for you, for mass media of the Philippines, just let us know.
Sir, just so you know, sir, Russia is all over the local news yesterday. It's all over local news.
And it also aired over our
television, radio, newspaper, all over.
Even on social media.
Yes, but I talked about local newspapers. Newspapers, Philippine Star, Philippine Inquirer, Manila Bulletin, and so on. So they only republished the articles of the Associated Press and Reuters. So believe me, please, I try to be objective. Definitely. So, and that's why my suggestion, my proposal, let's combine our efforts to provide the local public, all readers, listeners of the Philippines with unbiased, objective information on my country. Okay? I'm not asking you to comment us, to agree with us. Always. Not at all. That's your sovereign right to agree or disagree with us. But please, try to be unbiased. That's all.
And objectives.
Objective.
We will also
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention. I highly appreciate it.
Baka naman mag-ambush pa kayo, ha?
AP camera.
AP Reuters, please exit.
Thank you. I can ask you to join us.